And last but not least, let's talk about Tekken Bloodline, right? This is the newest Netflix anime series. This is, of course, based off of the kind of iconic Tekken fighting game, right? Why I say kind of iconic because compared to Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter,
Right.
Tekken's there, but not as high as all that, though, in my
Yeah.
opinion, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
It always was kind of knocking on the door of popular franchises. It is the one I'll say ultimately took over when for 3D, when 3D became a thing. That was a game. Like it never, like Virtua Fighter never blew up as much. And then the other two franchise games, when they came into 3D, they didn't really do it as well as Tekken. Even though I really defend the Street Fighter EX series. I think those are solid games. Um
yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I was a fan of those.
yeah, but Tekken is the 3D game franchise. When 3D games came into their own, that is what it was. And this series does a great job, like leaning on that for a certain reason, which is really interesting what it does. But yeah, like go into that.
Right. So of course, us talking about fighting games, right? We had to talk about our experiences with the game, right? Well, just for a while, well, our history, I should say, with the game, right? Just for a short while, right? So for me, right, my exposure to Tekken came with Tekken 2, right? I didn't see one till like years later, right? I remember that being a big deal in the arcades. That was when I, now got into secondary school. So, I saw Tekken 2 there, right? But around Form 3, Form 4, right? This was around 98, I believe it was, right? That was when I saw Tekken 3, right?
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, all right, this is a game that I need to keep my eyes on, right? Now here's the thing, right? I used to play with like a couple characters. So my go-to character was Law, Forest Law. Because yeah,
Right.
he was the Bruce Lee clone, right? That's what he
Yeah, it's
was,
what
right?
Martial Law. Who's Martial Law? That's a different character.
Um I think it's Martial Law, right?
Martial Law,
Right.
yeah.
Martial Law, right,
Yeah.
right. I know there was Forest Law, but I'm not versed in all things Tekken, which I'll talk
Yeah.
about in my review, right? And I used to play Paul, although I didn't know all of his
Yeah, nah,
moves, right?
Paul Phoenix is a classic too. I love Paul Phoenix.
Of
Uh
course,
yeah.
especially that
Power punch.
that
Power,
that power punch that
yeah,
guy
power
does,
punch. That's half your
and that
life day. Yeah.
wow that he
Yeah.
does. I
Yeah,
love that. I
I
love that.
half your
Right.
life day. Yeah, power punch. Right?
Here's the thing, though. Everybody, or at least my good friends that I know, right? So
King,
shout out to Nigel, right? He used to pick King Dread, and
King, yeah, no, King,
we
King.
went to we went to school together. We went to secondary school together, right? So while I did try to memorize mathematical equations and
Yeah,
history
I have one thing
books
you
and
remember him.
dates and all that kind of stuff, and I just see this guy just tapping
Yeah,
buttons on a
that's
on
half
a
day.
on a on an arcade machine
Yeah.
and doing moves with King that I did like, how in the hell you know all this?
Oh, you have
And
one thing.
it's just like this bit long, this ta 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 ta
Yeah.
ta 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 ta, like almost like a tap dance. And I just seen
Yep.
King just
Yep.
breaking men up to the point that he will just hold a man up on his shoulders,
Right.
jump into the air and break he back. First time I see that, I was like, what?
Yeah. Right. So
He could do that shit?
the thing you have to remember about King is the only one thing you remember about King, and men used to be practicing it on the table in class.
Yes.
The rolling death cradle, the cradle, where you call it the King.
Oh God! When I see that for the first time, I was like,
Truly iconic.
"Is there anything King cannot do?"
Yeah. The
But yeah,
cradle is
King is like the most iconic character in Street Dread. I can't really speak for the others because I kind of lost track of Tekken honestly after
yeah.
4. But yeah, I would just never forget Tekken 3 and King and the impact that left on me. To the point that I just used to be, I never used to challenge anybody to, like, I just used to play the game on my own. I just used to pick
Right.
my character, I play, and if I get beat, I get beat, right? I never got challenged to play to play in that game, because I know 9 times out of 10 somebody would have picked King and cut my ass. But yeah, Ricardo, your quick history with the Tekken games, especially
Right,
3.
yeah. Like again, Tekken is a game I never get into. So okay. So in terms of the arcade games I got into was Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, of course, Killer Instinct, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I
Well, and
was
as you bring up fighting games, I have to mention though, my go-to fighting game, Soul Calibur.
right,
Still one of the
right,
best fighting games
right.
ever.
Yeah.
That
So,
was my game. That
but
was my
then
game.
so when the 3D stuff came along, I was well within secondary school, but I never used to visit arcades as much. So I never got into the 3D levels, but I was kind of into Virtua Fighter 2. But I got that at home for Sega. So I didn't used to go to arcades to play. And then Tekken came along. And Tekken was like always better than, the working conceit to um to actually, like, to me, it really mastered the 3D game thing, because Virtua Fighter was good, right? Good game, great game, in fact, right? Virtua Fighter 4 is still probably one of my favorite games ever in terms of, like, just tight controls and whatnot. But Tekken just did it weirder and stranger, and yeah, Tekken just became a lot more iconic in its own conceit for what it was. And that's how I feel about it. But I never got into Tekken. Right, never got into Tekken. I got into Street Fighter when the 3D Street Fighters came along, and yeah, there's a character in the 3D Street Fighter who's pretty much their king, and it's probably one of my favorite characters in fighting ever, Darren Meister. He's basically the Indian wrestler. That dude.
Oh, I remember him. Yeah,
right. That dude.
Yeah,
and he have his super is very similar to the King's Cradle. Not as difficult as the King's Cradle, but still very similar. Which, as in, once you execute properly, it's pretty much a death sentence to the opponent. But yeah. The Tekken franchise has hold the arcade and never gets into the universe in any serious way or anything like that. But it's one of those things that just was there, and I could see, I understand why it blew up and why it is the way it is. So yeah, just seeing the franchise, the story real insane, but you don't know what's going on. Because again, I used to be familiar with Mortal storyline, I'm familiar with Street Fighter storyline, but I don't know what the hell going on in Tekken. But yeah, apparently
same
Tekken,
here too. But
yeah, Tekken real badass.
Like even from like Tekken 2, which I used to play quite a number of times, right? Like when you show me characters like Ogre and Panda, and, this character, and I mean, what going on here? Like, is that like me just fighting some badass fighter? Why fighting a bear and a panda for? Like, what going on here? You know what I mean? But yeah, I know there's lore to it, but yeah, for the life of me, I don't know it, right?
What you do know is that it is what the promo material keep pushing in your face. So Kazuya, Hayachi, and then later on Jin.
Yes.
Right. And so that's it. So, and this I think this does a good job of just addressing the conceits. Like, I don't know if anybody who's super into Tekken will tell me what this get wrong or not, but like, this was a solid enough story for what it was. Like,
I agree. Yeah. I'll do the synopsis first, right? But what I will say to kick things off, right? All right. So when it came to like Tekken film adaptations, right? There's only two that I kind of remember. There was the Tekken anime feature that was from, I think it was from the 90s. So I think it came out like right after, the great Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. So it's that similar vibe now. But for the life of me, I don't remember anything from it. I just remember seeing King, and King didn't do shit. That's the only thing I remember for that. I remember seeing that film in one of the earlier anime cities. But if you ask me what the story is about, I can't even tell you because I don't remember, right? And then there was Tekken Blood Vengeance, right? Which I remember seeing back in 2011. I got the chance to go to the States, right? So I went to New York Comic Con. It was awesome, loved it. And I actually saw the premiere of that film, right? It was in real 3D, by the way. That's all what we talk about, right? 2011 shit, right? And even then, I don't even remember what that story is about. I just know that it involved Zayu, and that's it. That's all I know. I don't remember anything from it, right? But I don't remember really digging the visuals for it, right? The computer graphics and whatnot, right? Reason why I'm bringing all this up is because when it comes to like film adaptations, Tekken just never stuck out to me. I mean, Mortal, even how how all over the place is be in terms of its films, I remember those. I remember the TV series and all that kind of stuff, right? When it came to Tekken, I don't remember a single thing. And it's the point that I literally avoided, like the plague, the live action feature that dropped. I think it was in the late 2000s. Like the moment I saw that, I was like, all right, I done skip Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. I skipped it, so I am not. I repeat, not going to watch Tekken in live action. No, thank you. But yeah, did you see any of those Tekken?
I probably saw it in just passing and forget it completely. I probably see it in passing. Like, I don't know. The next thing, you don't remember Tekken world, because Tekken is like kind of like Fatal Fury and all of these other side things. Like, if it's not Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, you really don't remember the world building at all now. Like Mortal Kombat, I have a very clear working memory of the narrative, from the origins to the backstory. Same with Street Fighter. They have a good memory of the narrative for the most part. Tekken, not really. You never
exactly.
Get it.
Yeah, and that's sorry, that was how I went into this one, not really knowing the characters, backstories and whatnot, but just kind of knowing that this is this guy. You
only really know the two kind of major figures, right? Hayachi and Heihachi, I think.
Heihachi.
And then Kazuya. That's it.
Yes.
And you kind of know Paul and you kind of know martial law, but like Again, you're not sure. Because like you always assume martial law was like the star, kind of, but not really. It's like, is he like Liu Kang or is he like Ryu? You're not really sure. So I don't know.
I think that was like the main issue with the game in general, though. That was there like a real main lead? Was it Jin Kazama? Was it Kazuya? Like, I don't know. I don't remember these things. I'm sorry, right?
Exactly.
But in a nutshell, what Tekken Bloodline is about, right? So pretty much it follows, one of the game's most iconic characters, Jin Kazama, right? We see him early on, being taught by his mother, Jun Kazama, in martial arts, right? And then one day she is attacked and killed by this ancient demon by the name of Ogre. And from there now, well, before that, Jin is pretty much told to go and visit his grandfather, Heihachi Mishima, right?
Right.
And well, he does do that, right? And right off the bat, Heihachi is brutish. He is all about, I must train you, I must break you down, and then build you back up, and you must be like this, like the most powerful warrior ever, right? And you kind of learn why exactly, right? Because first it's like, he just kind of establishing his own Mishima brand of martial arts, right? Which is very, very hardcore, right? But in essence, as we learn later on, it is about drawing in Ogre himself, because I'm not versed in all things Tekken, he is drawn to like powerful fighters, right? And this leads to Heihachi's King of Iron Fist competition, which he more or less relaunches, right? And yeah, he brings, fighters from around the world. So you see, familiar characters. So you see Hwoarang, you see Zai, who I mentioned earlier. You see my boy Paul Phoenix.
You saw Yoshimitsu, Jordan. I really wish we could get more Yoshimitsu actually.
I'm gonna talk about Yoshimitsu, yes. So you see Yoshimitsu and some other familiar faces. You even see my boy King in this as well too. You see Leroy Smith. I forgot about him.
Right.
You see Ganryu. I actually forgot about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And pretty much that's what it is. It's just a tournament going on a while, but really at the heart of it, it just really centers on Jin and his journey, not just to get to become greater as a warrior, but to seek revenge against Ogre. And lastly, I'll say why it's called Bloodline is not so much his relationship with Heihachi, but also involving his dad now, Kazuya, right? And what we learn about him being more or less like, well, it is why he basically has something called the devil gene, right? Yeah. And it was the point that it makes him so incredibly powerful that he beat Heihachi like once, like close to death actually. And Heihachi was able to pick himself back up and more or less kind of, start this tournament again, right? And yeah, that's pretty much what this show is about. So yeah, Ricardo, what were your thoughts on Tekken Bloodline?
Yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. It kept my attention. Solid, simple arc. They keep it forward, and yeah, they make Jin a decent enough protagonist, and they give him a good arc at the end. It is absolutely hilarious as well, which is because Heihachi. Oh my god, they make Heihachi so extra dread. That one
he just ticking off all the boxes, dread.
Yeah, boy.
I am going to train you like this, and if you ever beat me, no, sorry, what you say, mate? The moment you are able to beat me after once you leave the ring and you can beat me, Dread, that's when you pass. The only way you pass is if you defeat me. I didn't even think he did defeat him.
But it's just all this unnecessary shit, boy. That is just do the bad, Dread. Like that is one part where you're finished. Your lesson is over, and you walk off, and you just kick the man in the back harder. So like, chill out now. But I really dug this for what it was. The only thing I thought they would have done is I thought they would have been even though again I don't know Tekken law enough to know if this was viable or not, but I really thought that Ogre was Kazuya. That's what I thought was gonna happen. But that didn't play that out. But that's about it.
It would have been interesting if Ogre was Kazuya.
Right, I thought that was the reveal. Like you literally turned to a demon at the ending. But that's not what we got. We got something different from it, and is whatever. It's fine. But that's about it. Because the ending is like, well, it's a kind of cliffhanger ending. Like what they do with it. So hopefully we'll see Kazuya at the ending. It's a lot of fun. As I said, the only gripe I had about it is I wish we got more tournament stuff, and they made the tournament more important and more relevant. Like it was just a staging device, and it had a plot reason as to why the tournament existed. Small little thing. I completely forgot that Tekken occurs in Peru, right? With the tournament. I was like, yeah, why Peru? And I forget that. Yeah, and I forget that. If you know the history, Japan has a really fascinating crossover history with Peru. Look it up. It's kind of disturbing, given the politics, but it's really fascinating and weird. Yeah, that's about it, because apparently they have a former president of theirs was Japanese, so it have a big connection. I forget the guy's name. I think his daughter going up for politics now. Well, but you get my point. And this guy got his career as president back in the early 90s. So it's like, that makes perfect sense. It's like, it's interesting. That's all I'll say. So that's about it. I had fun for what it was. It works. I didn't watch it in Japanese. I watched it in Japanese a little bit, and then I switched back to English.
I did that too, actually. I did that.
Yeah. So it was one way or the other for me. But yeah, I had fun with this. It was simple. To keep the story simple, just him training, him having to get from point A to point B. I felt they could have established his friends a little better. Like, he had friends, and they jump a little too much. I think they could have built up and established those friends a little better, because he had two friends. I forget the other guy.
Yeah, it basically was Horang and
right.
Zayu he had a history with, but
right.
how they were just introduced so quickly, just like, wait, they know
I
each
felt
other?
we could have probably get an episode or two more with them building up that conceit now, as it is. But that's about it. Moving on. It had nothing else to talk about. Just right. So we had to talk about the main conceit, is the actual fighting and action itself. It does something very clever where it plays, because the original is janky. Like I said, it was a real janky conceit. Like, it was very janky. The original when it came out in the days now. And then
it talk about the character design, the movements?
No, about the character design and the movement. How they gave me some move and play back in the days.
Right.
And then this animation now is very janky as well. And it's something I actually don't like, this animation and art style. But somehow it fit absolutely perfect for Tekken though. Like, it's
right. I see what you mean.
Because of the same jankiness. And it's like you're really watching the game. I really feel like you're watching somebody play the game. That's what I like about it. I'm like, okay, that actually clever though. Like, the choices made there. So that's about it. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I agree with you, right? Well, just to touch on the animation for a bit, right? What essentially we mean is that it's basically 3D models that we see here, right? But it's I don't know how to describe it, but basically they're meant to look like 2D. But when you notice the movements, that's when you're like, oh, it has a sort of I don't want to say a robotic movement, but more of a sort of a marionette kind of look, the way how they move at times, right? Yeah. And it kind of fits though, but especially with the fighter itself. And also points now, if it's one thing we remember from Tekken, is that when you throw a punch, you see like this flash of bright light. So they even get the flashes of bright light too, you know what I mean? I thought that was like a really smart call, like just to emphasize how powerful these punches and kicks are. You know what I mean? It's always like, you see like lights there. It adds it, right? Also, I have to give mad props to for them, actually, I should say the creators behind this, for actually pulling off some of the some memorable moves from the game, like case in point, King, like the same thing that move with holding the opponent on his shoulders and then just leaping up to the air and breaking the back.
Yeah,
he does that. Paul with the power punch. I forgot.
We got a couple power punches.
Yeah, he does that, right? And how it's pulled off.
We get we get Leroy Smith. He's the Wing Chun guy.
Yes. Yes.
And the Joker has called this guy Tekken Pain, because he's basically look like T-Pain. Tekken Pain.
Oh gosh. Yeah, get it, T-Pain.
Yeah. So but and he had a little arc too that was pretty good, because again, Heihachi's a bastard and they need to keep telling you that, because Heihachi too extra. The funniest is the ending with Heihachi, where Heihachi just get fed up and pull out a blicky, like it's like, bro, that cracked me up though.
And he did. It's his mind to like, yo, I try to save the world. I try to be this great warrior. I don't know about you know. But jeez, man, that's what you can do. yeah. But when it came to the fight scenes, they were solid. That anything amazing, but they were stellar. They were solid. I love how it stayed true to the text, for the most part, to the fighting, to the actual game itself, right? But it is, just mainly, I should say like the fight choreography, the way how it's put together, how it's designed and put together. I thought it was great. They really put effort into that, right? If I have some gripes though with the fighting themselves, like, yeah, as I said, Yoshimitsu was there, and you see a snapshot of him, right? Yeah, so there's a moment in the middle of this series, right, where it instead of like what would have made a lot more sense, right? Show a montage with those characters, those side characters, right? Doing like a punch or a kick and they get defeated, and then you see, oh, this one beat this other guy. All you just show me is just Yoshimitsu beats this guy, this other person beats that person, right? You just showing me faces and who defeat who. You even show me like a little clip, a little moment, a little punch, a little kick, nothing.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. You're telling me y'all didn't have any money in our budget to show me just one scene? Like, couldn't you even do that? Like, come on.
We could get more.
We could get a little montage, bro. You know what I mean?
Everything was just
a tournament show.
Yeah, everything was just kind of off camera. I was annoyed. Like we could have seen the bear fight, Jared, like Paul versus the bear.
Yes, Paul. Yeah, Paul was talking about
he fight the bear.
What's his name? Puma, I think the name of the bear is, right? Yeah. He just kind of mentions, referring to the English dub here. Yeah, this tournament is crazy. Yeah, I just fought a bear. That would have been a great moment to just show a scene where you just do a power punch to Puma. That would have been a great moment. Just show that moment and then cut back to him. And the audience will understand where you're coming from. But because of those little bits, though, it relies on it. The fans will be like, oh yeah, I know who it is. But still, you want to see it, right? The King stuff, though, while I was digging it, I just really honestly wish I knew more about this character, because they say something about him basically that because in the show itself they just say that there's two versions of him.
The second king, right?
Yeah, the second king.
I know it's a second king, right?
Right, but like still to this day, I don't even know if King is just this guy with this luchador mask that looks like a jaguar, or if it is literally a jaguar man. I don't even know. I don't even know. The show itself don't even stop to tell me what it is or who he is. Sorry, I don't even know. Right, but yeah, you get bits of moments like that, right, where characters kind of do things and it's like, all right, how? But because the show I have to give praise for this. The show just say, here's what, this is a fighting game. We're not even going to explain much. We're going to just give you just enough for you to understand, all right, this is a character that fight the game, just roll with it, right? So yes, you're right, Ricardo. I do praise the simplicity of it. It just kind of knew what it was, right? It wasn't trying to be anything overly different or spectacular. It's just like, all right, characters that are fighting game in this world. We have to have a reason to get them to fight, so be it, right? I was really liking Zayu, Jen. I was liking how overconfident she was, though. But you see how it kind of comes back at the later on, though. It sucked that we didn't see more of Julia, but like she just kind of shows up in one scene again while trying to kill Hiachi, because Hiachi is a son of a bitch. But yeah, we don't really see much of her after that, though, which sucked, right? I was liking the rivalry between Jin and Hwoarang. That was cool, but they really could have established early on their relationship, because literally there's a training montage of all things, where in one scene Jin literally like walking on a road and Hwoarang like just challenge him out to the blue. Same with Zayu, she just challenged him out to the blue, and you don't even know if they have a pass, or you even know that, right? Paul is Paul. Paul do he thing. I actually did like the English dub. And speaking of the English dub, I thought that the English dub was pretty fine. It was fine for what it was. I know a lot of people kind of don't dig English dubs when it comes to anime, but I thought that this one was serviceable, right? But this is where it leads to the dialogue, where the dialogue is pretty much standard, basic. I have to be the best warrior ever. I must train you like this. This is like the ultimate fight. It's that, right? I see it basically with the dialogue that they give Heihachi, boy. Like, Heihachi's a great villain in this way, but his dialogue, boy, woo, it is. All right, if you've seen one villain who...
The man real extra, John.
Yeah, he real extra, boy. He is just that guy who will just feed you this bullshit about beating you down to the ground and then building you back up to become the ultimate badass. And then the man still had the call to sacrifice Jin in the end. Just because, but we would say how, right? If I do have another gripe too is, well, all right. So I will say the final fight, which involves Ogre, was great. I like that he do the role. Can I literally forget this guy, the characters do specific moves. I was reminded of that in the show, right? But where the show ends, ultimately, I was let down by it, honestly, because it was just kind of like we just did, like, all right, what gonna happen next? Like, it just kind of ends there. It's like, yeah, we just gotta end it there. No, like, it's a cliffhanger, yes, but still, it's just like, well, yeah, that's it. That's how you're gonna end this show. Sorry, bye, right? But yeah, we could have got a little bit more out of that, though, because then that kind of leads into something even more serious with Jin and his dad and all that too, right? But still, at the end of the day, it is anime based off of a fighting game. You get what you get. But because we are not versed in all things Tekken, we can't really say for sure if it's stuck to the source material very well. I feel like it does. Like, it's just so straightforward. I feel like, yeah, this is the Jin's backstory. Like, this is exactly how it played out, right? I would like to know how deep this storyline goes, but I imagine it's way more insane than stuff like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, right? And not just with the amount of characters, but that's the type of characters that are in this franchise as a whole, right? But yeah, in terms of just capturing the vibe of this game, I thought it would. Like, I made a joke on Facebook. It reminded me of watching other people play Tekken in the arcade. That's really how it felt like, right? It does take itself a little too seriously at times, though, but ultimately it is still fun. It is, your typical martial arts action stuff, so you kind of know what to expect from it, right? Animation, solid for what it is. Voice acting solid for what it is. Story is flimsy, but it's serviceable and it works for what it is. And yeah, ultimately, I enjoyed this way more than I expected. Like, I just thought it's going to be, yet another forgettable Tekken film adaptation. But I would say this is easily the best one that we've gotten that thus far. And I am also taking into account that live action film that came out in the 2000s. So yeah, if I can rate this, like a decent 3.5 out of 5, man. I'll say it's worth checking out. I imagine if you are a diehard Tekken fan, you will enjoy it. I would love to see a diehard fan that picked this show and be like, well, no, this is not Jin's backstory, and why is Hitachi like this? I would love to hear that, right? But I would say that even if it is marginally familiar with Tekken, you will still enjoy for what it is. It's cheesy, it's over the top, but it's fun and it's from a fighting game, so you get what you get. And really and truly, that's all we need with this, right? And in closing, I don't know if we will get a second season in the near future. I do hope we do, especially the way how this season here ends. Okay, it would suck if we don't get a second season. I'll just say that right off the bat, right? Yeah. But yeah, this is shaping up, I would say, to be a really, really promising and very entertaining anime series as a whole in terms of Netflix output, man. So yeah, Netflix, don't cancel this. We need a second season. The fans saying this. We want a second season of this, right? So Ricardo, final thoughts and rating.
Yeah, no, I'd found it very silly. Again, we could have fleshed it out and get a little more better connective tissue in terms of some of the narrative stuff, especially with him and his friends. Like, you have this supposedly this trio of friends, and they kind of introduce them halfway, and by the end of the series, in the end of the season, they're acting as if we know these people from the beginning. They could have set it up a little better. Like the school, like they keep talking about the school that she get through in, and they connected to. It's like, wait, you know these characters? Little stuff like that. I felt we could have just seen more. That's about it. But I enjoyed it for what it was. Yeah, like an 8 out of 10. I had fun. Again, what it does well is square itself with the game and the wonky animation. So it feels like the game, both wonky in their own way. So there's a certain authenticity in that sense. So that's how I feel about it.
Right.